And we back. Got my man's Foots the King here. Foots the King is one of my closest, most trusted compadres, man. And, you know, sometimes when we have draft season, I got to talk to Foots in different times. I got to talk to him pre-draft. I got to talk to him during, the day after. It's been about a month or so, Foots. So I know, when we watching prospects that are potentially Cowboys, we watching 200 people. We may get 2 games in, 3 games because we take this thorough. Like we really take this seriously, man. But when they become Cowboys, we watch every single game, every single play. We really deep dive those handful of players, man. So I just want to revisit just a handful of these cats and just some other little Cowboy topics I got for you. I ain't gonna hold you long, brother. Let's get into this.
Let's do it.
I've been asking people. First of all, plug all your stuff. Pardon me, Cowboy Nation TV. Is it Foots DA King or Foots THE King?
Nah, it's Foots DA. Thanks for having me, Voch. It's been too long, man. I'm good, man. Cowboys Nation TV on YouTube, Foots the King on Twitter. Let's rock, let's roll, bro. These people want content, and we all going through football withdrawal. So let's get these people excited.
Let's do it, Foots the King. So look, man, I was gonna have this all cute and layered, and I was gonna go in order. Let's do this. Who's gonna be on the field when Michael Gallup comes back? Who's gonna be on the field the most, Jalen Tolbert or James Washington? This is what I do, Foots. This is what I do, sir.
You just come out swinging, man.
I'm
gonna say Jalen Tolbert. I actually got a video dropping on a few reasons why, but I'll give a few right now. I just see better ability than James Washington. I watched all his games, all 11 games, and I even went back to his freshman and sophomore year were okay, decent.
Sure.
But then he really took off his junior and his senior year. A game that comes to mind, the Georgia State game, was just outstanding. Everybody wants to go to the Tennessee game, but the Southern Miss game was outstanding.
Sure.
He has it all in his bag, Voch. Now, somebody came at me on Twitter, well, James Washington in Oklahoma State was really special. And he was.
Sure.
I think the problem and the difference for me is 5'11", 6'3".
Yeah.
That's a big difference at the NFL ranks versus somebody who could play some big slot and somebody who could play on the edge. That's just one of the reasons, Voch. I just like Jalen Tolbert to see a really smooth athlete, and I think that Dak takes to him. So that mixed with James Washington, we don't even know if James Washington is going to start training camp healthy.
I'm not one of these people that's, panicky Pete, I like to look at what I got. I like to evaluate it. I like to take in the whole product, and then I like to make my assessments, man. I don't think we have a problem at wide receiver. I said on the volume yesterday, we doing this on Thursday, on a Wednesday or whatever, but I said on the volume, man, these Cowboy fans that's, reaching out like, hey, yo, can we get Julio Jones? Let me go get one of them cats, man. I'm like, bro. You got 2 dudes on your team right now that's probably going to do a little better than Julio Jones. Now, Julio Jones is a name. Julio Jones got pedigree, Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer, All-Pro, all that good stuff. But his skill set ain't the same. It's not what it once was. You don't get those things in new Julio that you used to get in old Julio. But when you watch Jalen Tolbert, when you watch James Washington, now Jalen Tolbert is a rookie. He has to translate into the next level. All right, fine, cool. You can play that role if you want to. But if we're projecting, right, I can project that Jalen Tolbert can do more for you now than Julio Jones can. He's probably going to be a lot more healthy for you. If you look at the numbers, James Washington is a guy that if James Washington and this current shell of Julio Jones that we're getting right now, if they get the same number of targets and catches, they're going to give you the same amount of yards. So the guy that you would be trying to get in Julio Jones, you have in James Washington. So the big fight really is Tolbert and James Washington. And what I think is important is that, we don't want anybody to get hurt, but Gallup being hurt gives you an opportunity to see Tolbert, right? So, conventional wisdom, you would say, okay, well, if both of these players are equal, you have a decision to make. Do you go with the veteran, which should give him the push over, or do you go with the young guy to kind of put him in that fire to begin that process? We have the advantage that we get to play both at the same time. First, we're probably going to put both at slot. We're probably going to put both at, flanker or whatever while CD does his thing. When CD moves around, they're going to move around with him. And we're going to it's going to be a competition of, hey, for these first 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however long, we ain't got to rush Gallup back. The schedule ain't too terrible. So let's get Gallup back when he's ready for the playoffs or whatnot, right? It's going to be a fight between Tolbert and James. When Gallup gets gets back, who gets to stay on the field? Because we can keep all these guys in rotation, but who's going to stay on the field? And just based on the interviews I've been seeing, based on the social media posts, we see Dak on Instagram, CD on one arm, Dalton on that side. We see Sean McKeown on the other side. And who's right up in Dak's hip pocket? You see Jalen Tolbert. When we talk about, Jalen Tolbert's interviews, what do he say, Fliss? He say, hey, yeah, yo, man, I've been talking to Dak. Dak sent me a playbook before we got drafted. He hit me on the phone. We were saying this, and let me get your thoughts on this, Foots. There was this point, shouts out to Big Sarge, he called in the Will Steele show, or he typed in the Will Steele show, and he was saying that Dak doesn't want a guy that's not going to always practice for him. And he said that, and, people kind of took it as a whatever comment, but I feel like that makes sense because Dak is the big dog now. And Dak has always had dudes in his room that were either above him or on the level of him, whether it be Dez, whether it be Cooper. These guys are gone now. So everybody in that wide receiver room, they're Dak's little homies now, right? So if Dak text Dez Bryant and be like, hey, I need you at the Dak yard at 6 a.m. in the morning. If he texts Julio Jones, say, I need you at the house at 6 in the morning, they may not be there. But CD, Jalen, they Dak's little homies. If Dak say, hey, be here at 6, they gonna be there at 6. I think that there's something to that, and that may be more favorable for Jalen in this fight by time camp is over. What you think about that, Foots?
I think that you're spot on, Voch, and I think another thing is this. Dak would not take, Semi Fajoko's not out there with Dak. Vasher's not out there with Dak. Noah Brown's not out there with Dak. I mean, I'm pretty sure Dak paid for it. Sure. I'm pretty sure that he also wanted to do some bonding. Yep. I think he just takes to the kid, and I think that it's easy to see why. Yep. Baseball player, the tracking ability is real. I'm pretty sure that it's something about when a young athlete comes into the league and he gets with the right player or the right leader. Sure. Because I'll say this, everybody wants to say something about Dak. Dak has really reshaped his body again that I've seen. And, I'm real big on that type of stuff. How does he look? Is he healthy? Yep. He looks very healthy. He looks cut up. And I think that he's on a mission this year. And I think that, like you said, the whole panic at receiver thing, Julio, okay, the Titans have a need a receiver.
Sure.
There's a reason why they moved on.
Sure.
I think that, and I'm sure we can say this for another topic, I think you answer your receiver questions by getting Tony Pollard more involved in the offense. But that's another day. That could be an hour conversation.
There's a whole hour conversation. That's a whole lot of fussing back and forth that we're not going to get to. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's an hour conversation. But, yeah, I think that Dak being the elder statesman for sure, Voch, has a lot to do with, first of all, Jalen being in here, but then him having a chance. Yeah. Because the truth is, James Washington, he's a 4-year vet. He kind of does things the way he does things. Mm-hmm. Jalen Tolbert can still be molded by That's a beautiful thing.
I really like what you said when you said that these young wide receivers, when they come into the league, if they're in the right situation, when they're around the right guys, they can really flourish. Guys that got drafted ahead of him, man. What's his face? Because draft is over, so I don't know nobody but the Cowboy guys now. But Garrett Wilson's not in the most ideal situation right now. You know what I mean? My man's that got drafted in Washington or whatever. They're not in the best. Dotson. They're not in the best situations right now. You know what I mean? Drake London is just in this wasteland and with the Falcons right now, right? So those are guys that got drafted early. Dak Prescott is, I don't care what nobody say, bro. We can fight all you want to. I think he's a top 3 quarterback, but I'll take top 5, right? Dak is a top 5 guy in this league. He's a top dude in this league. If Dak likes you enough to get you the football, he can make your career. He can make you some money. You know what I mean? Randall Cobb, he left Green Bay, came to Dallas, he made some money. He went right to Houston and made some money off of Dak's back, right? Cedric Wilson is a guy. Cedric, thank you. Yo, luck my money. Cedric Wilson, if Zach Wilson throwing the ball to Cedric, or if Trevor Lawrence, one of these other guys throwing the ball to,
they out the league.
They're not. Cedric Wilson not making no money with them. Cedric Wilson was a week 1 free agent, week 2, week 3, week 2 free agent because Dak made them that money. If Dak likes you, Jalen Tolbert better wake your ass up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to the Dak yard when he calls you, because all that's gonna do, bro, Fuster King, let's keep it a buck, man. Let's keep it a buck. we knew that Dalton Schultz was going to be tight end one. Me and you had this conversation, but we didn't think Dalton Schultz was going to be special. We just thought that Dalton was going to be a guy in this offense that does well. But when Dak Prescott is your quarterback and he trusts you and he leans on you and you produce and you can make some money off Dak Prescott. So in my mind, if Jalen Tolbert started, he got a chance. If Jalen Tolbert started and he's in this offense where we have a run game, we have a Tony Pollard, we have a wide receiver 1 and 2 already, people can't tell me that Jalen Tolbert can't get 800 yards this year. You know what I mean?
800 yards, 700 yards. I think he's a better athlete than Cedric Wilson. I think he's a faster player.
Sure.
And so there's times where Cedric Wilson had a really good knack of grass and knowing how to get open, over routes, things like that, Voch, skinny posts. He knew what to do.
Sure.
I think that if Tolbert can't pick up on the offense, and that's all you hear when you hear Tolbert speak, you know, I want to get the offense. I want to learn the playbook. And so, okay, if he can really do that without question, and even back to Dak, right? I think that Dak is good enough to get you to where we are. Now the scheme needs to match when we play those big games. And what I mean by that is, you know, Kellen, you get paid. It's now time for you to start scheming and helping Dak, because I think what happens is Dak had really kind of turned into last with the chalk quarterback.
Sure.
A lot of checks, a lot of especially the San Fran game, you know, and we want to get into the right call. But what happens is when you're doing that against defenses and they don't audible, and this is another conversation as well, I just want to see Kellen Moore now scheme teams a little bit better and really take advantages of weaknesses on defenses. Once he gets in that bag, Dak can lead his team to a Super Bowl. I really believe he can. I really believe we had a personnel too, but it's going to take that type of knowing and marrying the quarterback to his scheme. Because right now, Voch, what does Kellen Moore do great that we know?
We can get yards, we can get stats, we can get numbers. we can move the football, but we got to finish. We got to be consistent. We got to scheme better for sure. For sure,
we got to scheme. And I don't think that's Voch, I think that would be a good video for you to do, because I don't think a lot of people don't understand what they're talking about when they talk about scheme.
Sure.
Like, there are teams that scheme, you know, the scheme really got Jimmy Garoppolo, you know, and San Fran where they are. Yeah. And so there are teams that understand how to scheme wins, and it's not an easy thing to do, but I think that Kellen Moore can do it.
Fantastic point. With that being said, you know, I think one of the biggest impediments to this offense is that we just couldn't continue success in the run game. Now you know how I feel about Connor Williams, my son, right? You know how I feel about my son, Connor Williams. And Connor Williams does things differently. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to say who's better or who's not because one guy's a rookie, you know, whatever. Connor Williams does things differently. Do you think that the run game would be slightly more physical and more efficient with Tyler Smith at left guard than Connor Williams?
Oh, 110%.
I know you and Okoye can't. You and Okoye, you ain't got to look away before you look at something.
110%.
You and Okoye can't stand my son Connor. He a Dolphin now. That's their problem. Him and Cedric Wilson over there in Miami living it up. But sir, you know, me and you watch Tyler Smith. And you know the draft community, man. They it can be fantastic sometimes. Other times it can bother the hell out of us. Listen, man. Tyler Smith, the film didn't change. We're only responsible for what we saw on film. So when Tyler Smith shows up to OTAs, he shows up to mini camp, and they say, "Oh, Tyler Smith, damn near fix his hands in 2 weeks." They said two things to him. He know exactly where to put his feet. He know exactly where to put his elbows. He ain't perfect, but he better. And you know, as I'm watching the film, as me and Foster King watching the film, breaking it down, we say, hey, man, Tyler can be fantastic. He just got to work on his hands and his feet and, you know what I mean, be a little more consistent and channel that angry energy, and Tyler will be fine. So they've made a tremendous amount of progress based on what we've heard, based on the, you know, beat writers and things like that, the reports that Tyler Smith has made a huge leap in technical progress, right? Yeah. And he has a long way to go. But if that dude, you know, we always see these flashes from Tyler Smith. Sometimes it look bad, but other times he's taking somebody's child from point A to point B, like and just to the water cooler, right? If Tyler Smith can consistently be that dude, Foster King, what's your reaction to that, man? What's your reaction to that statement I just said? If Tyler Smith can consistently take children from point A to point B to the damn water cooler without holding, what? Just tell me about Tyler Smith, Foots, please.
I think that turns me up because if nothing else, give me that guy because those are the guys that you need in playoff games.
Yeah.
When you're playing a San Francisco D line and they're flying off the ball, and you need somebody who's going to fight back. Yeah. And I think surprisingly, you actually have that in Terrence Steele, a great run blocker.
Sure.
It's crazy, and I believe that Tyler Smith has that same motor. And, it was very interesting after the draft, you heard, Voch, how interested Tennessee was in Tyler Smith.
If we didn't get him, Tennessee was going to go right behind us and get him for sure.
He was going to be a Titan. And so that should tell you kind of all you need to know.
Sure.
The Titans are going to get downhill. Yeah. Like, they're not going to worry about and I think Mike Tomlin had one of the best quotes about, the NFL. Like, you get these guys in the building, you still have to coach.
Sure.
He has a hand issue. Sure. Coach it up.
Sure.
These guys are paid. These guys are millionaires to coach.
Yeah.
Joe Philbin, earn your check. Because Voch, I think me and you had a really good exchange on Twitter with somebody about Micah Parsons.
Sure.
And the same thing that you said about how receivers can go to certain situations.
Right.
I don't think Micah Parsons is the same athlete if you just stick him in the middle of the field and say you're a Mike linebacker.
Right. That dude has to be a versatile weapon. He has to be moved around. I did a film session. Y'all go check that out on the volume. I broke
Check it out.
I broke down Micah's 14 sacks and where he was best rushing from those sacks and foots. It was damn near even. Whether it be him breaking free, like chasing somebody, whether it be rush from the tackles, rush from the guard, or like the offense considering him a linebacker and him like dealing with running backs and shit. It was like 5 sacks, 4 sacks, 6 sacks. Like it was all even. So what that tells me is that you just can't rush Micah Parsons from one spot, and if you rush him from one spot, it'll be easier to like game plan for that. But we talking about Tyler Smith, but yeah, y'all go watch that video. Micah gonna be special, but go. Basically, what I'm saying here though, Foots, is that this was my point that I was making earlier last week, is that a lot of Cowboy fans who are very doom and gloomy, they feel like we've gotten worse because we lose Cooper, Randy Gregory, and La'el Collins. And I don't want to just fall with a narrative because everybody's saying it. I want to look deep into it. I want to figure out everything that I can figure out about it. And if that's the case, then I'll say that. What I've been thinking about the last couple of days, Foots, is yes, we lost those 3 players. But what if I told you that we fixed our problems and we could possibly be more efficient as a team in terms of, penalties and things of that nature? If we're bad versus the run, all right, cool. Well, everybody got bigger and stronger. We, drafted guys to be better versus the run. That's improvement. If we need to run the football better, all right, cool. You're stiff right tackle, and you can, La'el Collins may still be a better player than Terrence Steele, but last year's La'el Collins versus this year's Terrence Steele is what you need to be looking at. If we get a more clean product at right tackle and left guard, are we better running the football than we were last year? You understand what I'm saying? If we just get less penalties by way of, cutting somebody and just adding somebody here, less boneheaded penalties from like a Randy Gregory or something like that. If, Cooper's a fantastic receiver, but if he got plantar fasciitis, does that affect him? He gonna always have plantar fasciitis, right? So you take that, versus whatever. Foots, we lost those 3 players, but if you take into consideration everything I just said, have we gotten better or worse than last year?
So I want to attack 2 points,
please.
And when I say attack, I want to
talk about.
Agree with you because I think that this fan base falls way too in love with, and Voch, we're by trade draft guys, so we're gonna always fall
player development
on this player development in the team.
Yep.
And probably to a T.
Yep.
I mean to a fault because I know you saw the best in Connor Williams, and maybe we held on too long, whatever.
Sure.
But the point is, I see why Dallas drafted the player. It was a good pick at the time. It just didn't pan out. That's okay.
Sure.
When you look at – let's talk about Amari Cooper. You made a great point about Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Did Amari Cooper block CD development and growth? I don't know. But here's what I do know. I know as an offensive coordinator, sometimes when you have too much, you never really get into a rhythm.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, at one point, Kellen Moore had 3 A-list receivers.
Yeah.
How to use them in certain situations. And we know that, and it's been reported that Amari Cooper was a guy who, at times fell out of favor with the offensive staff because of just kind of what he demanded. Sure. And that's okay. because he's a great receiver.
Yeah.
But I think now that CD is your guy, it kind of makes the usage and okay.
When the Cowboys offense were good, we were featuring CD and Coop was a complimentary guy. But when there was pressure, that, hey, maybe we should feature Coop more and we forgot how to feature CD, shit kind of looked a little different. I agree.
Tampa Bay is your blueprint on how you need to run this.
Tampa Bay, New England, New Orleans, just pick game. Yeah, sure, for sure.
Funny that those are against great defenses, right?
Sure.
So what did Kellen Moore do? He took the thinking out of it. Yeah. Quick game. Yeah. Raise up and throw the ball to CD right now. Let's get the ball in his hands right now.
Sure.
CD Lamb is a right now athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Get the ball to him. Let him make plays. I don't care about the drops. I don't care about any of that. The run game, I completely agree, and I think that Tyler Smith is going to help our run game. And it's okay to have a run game because guess what? This defense is going to be moving into top 10, top 5 discussion. That's what people aren't talking about.
I agree.
A second year of Michael Parsons, a second year of Osa, a second year of let's see
Chauncey.
what Kelvin Joseph can do. Chauncey,
Mm-hmm.
if Kelvin Joseph can really take that DB position. I think that this team, let's see what Jabril Cox gives us.
Sure.
I think this team is now going to shift into, hey, we're okay with punting the ball. We're okay with playing a certain way on offense because we know that we have a top 5 corner and a top 5, really a top 3 defender in the NFL.
To that point, though, Foots, think about let's just say how solid we were on defense last year, right? I think we're a solid to good defense. We didn't get a full year of D-Law. We didn't get a full year of Neville. Osa didn't have rotation help, so he had to play way more snaps than he had to. He kind of got tired, right? You know what I mean?
Hit that wall.
Right. Micah was a rookie. We wasn't even really using Micah the way that we were supposed to because we was on the job trying to figure him out. J-Ron Curse had to work into his role. Malik Hooker had to work into his role. All these guys are starting off the season now. You know what I mean? And they look, not only start off the season, but they get the off season together, right? Malik Hooker really didn't get signed until like August or something last year, like that. It wasn't in place fully last year, but you bring all those guys back now. We're gonna start with this sheet of paper that's Neville's the 1. Osa's the 3. This is going to be this. Chauncey's going to be situational guy. D-Law, hopefully D-Law can play 16 games. Michael Parsons, we know Michael Parsons is one of the best pass rushers in the league day 1. We ain't really getting Michael Parsons going until week 6 last year, Foots. Day 1, we know who Micah is. I think all that means something. And what you were saying, we are statistically, right, like one of the top 3 offenses in the league, right? We're number 1 in many categories, but let's just say top 3 to be safe. Let's just say we fall down to like the 7th best offense, but our defense go from 12th to 6th. You got 2 top 10 units. I think you can win with that, Foots. You know what I mean? People call me a homer. But I think you can win with that. You know what I mean?
You left out a player who I'm really excited about as well, Voch. That's Sam Williams. That's just And when I say Sam, I'm excited to see Sam Williams with Quinn.
With context of Dan Quinn,
With the context of Dan Quinn, because
sure.
I think that the Tyler Smith hype was real.
Sure.
I think that the Jalen Tolbert hype was real.
Sure.
Real. But when you hear the head coach say, when you hear Mike McCarthy say,
yes,
and you could tell he had to temper it because he knew that people would run with it.
Sure.
But when you listen, say, oh, he looks like an NFL athlete.
Yeah.
And I just, for the life of me, and Voch, maybe you could do something. I did not like him in that 3-3 stack.
I did not.
At Ole Miss. Nah. I just, some of these college defenses are so goofy.
Sure.
And it's just like, why? And maybe it's a trend that we don't know.
That's something that the Cowboys, I think they relish in that. Like they find players out of position. Like Osa was a 0. Like they had Osa playing 0, and we get him and turn him into a 3-tech, and we're like, all right, this works. You know what I'm saying? With the context of Dan Quinn is fantastic because we have this wizard that can make all this shit work, and I think the best part about it, Foots, is that Sam Williams doesn't have to come in and be the guy. Like it's like
he ain't got to be anything.
He ain't got to be shit. All he gonna do is rush on third downs. He ain't got to stop the run. He ain't got to be the best dude on the field. D-Law, Micah, Dorrance might be in front of him. Fowler, sure. But in some of these in-game packages, they're going to find a way to get Sam involved. He ain't going to have to stop the run or nothing. Sam, your job is to go forward and chase the quarterback. And that's what Dan Quinn is really good at having a plan for these dudes and just limiting the outside stuff, right? Limiting, Sam, you ain't got to think, you ain't got to read, just hey, when I put you in, your job is to go forward. And that's what I think Dan is really good at. And that's what gives me a little more optimism. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Sam Williams pick neither because, look.
No.
I'm not going to be phony dogging the Kobe Dean who was on the board. I ain't gonna sit up here in front with you.
I had a tweet that I watched him doing drill work and the hips look very stiff. I just saw some things I said, but again, used correctly.
Sure. 3rd and
7. Micah one side, Sam another side, or Micah in the middle. However you want to do it.
Sure.
D-Law have him rushing that weaker guard. However, Quinn, we've seen that Quinn will put these guys in a position to win.
Sure.
And if I'm gonna trust Dan because he's giving me every reason to.
Sure.
And so, yeah.
2 more things. I was watching .com interviews, right? Then your boy Waletzko said something very spicy to me, right? They was talking to him. He was like, "Yeah, man, I'm the backup to one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time. He's a Hall of Famer. Da da da, boom boom boom." And nobody cared when he said that, but for his Voch messy. I'm a little messy. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm the backup to Josh Ball." He didn't say, "Oh, I'm competing with Josh Ball." He said, "I'm behind Tyron. I'm the swing guy. I'm the swing guy." Right? And I like that confidence, man. And it just to happen, we hear these, notes and things like that coming out of camp, man, that, Josh Ball playing like shit. So Waletzko might be swing tackle 1, man. And, that's your guy. You put me on to him. He eventually turned into my guy. Do you feel good about Waletzko being swing guy this early in his career? Or should we try to go find an old dude to be swing tackle, at this point?
I think that
or do we try to get Tyler Smith involved? Go ahead.
I like Tyler Smith at guard. I think that he's gonna come in and just solidify. And I know guards don't get the same. And you could draft another guard next year if Tyler Smith shows he could do both, and that's fine or whatever. But I know that tackle is one of those things. That's the big money play. I mean, that's the big money player. That's the big money position.
Sure.
Matt Waletzko showed me so much at the Senior Bowl that if nothing else, he has the ability to mirror and just not get completely ragdolled and knows how to use his hand, his arm length.
Tough, yeah.
And I think that is something that will follow him to the NFL. Mm-hmm. I don't know enough about Josh Ball because I haven't seen anything. And so you still hear that he's struggling. Okay, well, hey, I do think that is a position, Voch, where they will probably need to cover themselves. Sure. Receiver, no. You drafted these young guys, somebody step up. Offensive tackle, yes. Just because I would like to see a veteran in there. If for nothing else, if none of these guys take the reins, because they about to go against some dudes in camp.
Sure.
Confidence could get shot. You're going to get some dudes on that defensive line. Getting
beat by Micah every day will prep you perfectly for week 1. You know what I'm saying? That's a hell of a fight. In a perfect world, we want Tyron Smith to play 21 games, but boy, asking him to do that, you know what I mean? But
we kind of know. We know Voch. Yeah. He ain't, and that's okay.
Sure.
He's at that point in his career.
Sure. Last thing I got for you, you're a DB guy, and it's been a while since, Cowboy fans have been this comfortable about the safety position.
Very comfortable.
Comfortable in general, sure. But you're a DB guy, and we still haven't drafted a safety, but, we got Malik Hooker on the roof, and we got J. Ron, just kind of patrolling and things of that nature. How good do you think that this overall defense can be, because this secondary, of course, talking about the secondary, I know that Anthony Brown's a dude that people like to hate on, but he's very underrated. I like Anthony Brown a little bit. We want Kelvin to step up, if no trouble comes out of that situation. But I really think Hooker and Curse with this pass rush can be the rule of this thing. So just talk to me about the safeties, the DBs, and what that can mean for this defense, please.
Well, I think Voch, I think Dallas has set themselves up nicely with finding the right free agents and
Sure.
Hooker and Curse.
Sure.
But then also, like Donovan Wilson's a really good player.
Yeah.
At one point, we thought we had our safety position locked in with him, and then he kind of took steps back and there's some injuries, but he's still on this roster.
Sure.
And if for nothing else, he needs to be in the mix in some of these battles. And then you got to think about it too. Hooker hasn't historically been healthy. Now,
sure.
Coming out of Ohio State, Malik Hooker was that dude.
Top 10 pick, sure. Top 10.
And
top
it
10
showed at times on film, and it was good to see him get his sea legs, and now this team trusts him. So I think, if nothing else, he will play with a chip on his shoulder. And then let's not forget a guy like Marquise Bell, who I do think has a shot to at least make some type of noise, especially if he can get on teams.
You want to talk about coaches love somebody? Everybody to name drop Marquise Bell. Everybody that said his name, so that's facts for us. He's probably going to be on this team, probably doing kicking game stuff. But
teams, sure. If he can get on teams and just kind of hang around and get some reps and get some, I think preseason will be big for him. I think preseason will be big for him, and I think it'll be big for guys like Israel.
Sure.
All of these athletes, because I think that Dallas, especially on the back end, has set themselves up and kind of turned with the emergence of, and we have to remember too, J-Ron is really a linebacker. So that'll give an opportunity for another one of these young guys to kind of step up. But I feel very confident. I even feel confident that Kelvin Joseph will do what he needs to do.
Sure.
Barring that he stays out of trouble. His ability is just better than Anthony Brown's.
Yeah.
Just a better player.
Yeah.
Just has to stay out of trouble and just has to be there. But hopefully he can do that and just seize the moment. And obviously we know we have in Diggs. So, again, that goes back to my point. This team and his defense has now, I don't care what was done in the NFC East.
Sure.
I just like us.
Sure. And you, because you're talking about the Eagles first, I already know you're talking about, but the Eagles got blew out last year by 30 points, though. So I'm just asking, did they get 30 points better? Like, did they get 30? Like, did they cover that? You know what I mean? Did they cover that spread properly? You know what I mean? So, but we ain't got to say the E word here,
man.
Well,
did they get better at the position that matters?
Nope. Maybe a little bit, but not 30 points worth. So that's all that is.
Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Hurts is not 30 points better than anybody in the league. You were seeing ghosts in the Tampa Bay playoff game, man. You were seeing ghosts against Diggs.
With that being said, man, my man's Foot's the King. Appreciate you for coming on to the.
Today, Voch.
We always do this, man. We always do this. Appreciate you coming on the volume, man. One more time, plug your stuff and let the good people know where to find you, sir.
Hey, Cowboys Nation TV, Voch, appreciate all that you do. Jeff, everybody in the community, man. Joe, Law, everybody doing their thing. Koye, guys, we're close. Lock in with Voch. He's bringing the topics. I'm bringing the topics. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Camp will be here before we know it.
Yep.
And then it's full-fledged. Voch, are you going out to camp this year?
August 5th. We're going to be there.
Sheesh. How long you staying?
Till the 10th.
Okay. So you're going to get some good content. That's going to be dope.
Get some good work in. I'm Voch Lombardi. Of course, follow me on all social media platforms, VOCHLOMBARDI, and click all things volume. Hit the likes and subscribe. And please follow Foot's the King, man. Look, when I bring Foots on here and, and y'all listening, y'all watching, y'all go, man, this dude Foots is saying some great things. He has some fantastic takes. Don't just take this show and be like, oh, all right, that's all I'm here for Foots. Go listen, go to the show, go to the channel. He will drop content full of his takes. And when draft season come around, that's when me and Foots really shine. We really get busy during draft season. So appreciate y'all for tuning into my show and for going to go tune into his show, Cowboy Nation TV on YouTube. With that being said, y'all hold it down for the Doski Wilson, Peace, Whiskey. Till next time, volume.